ball knocked loose. White dive on it.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor.
They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, laying. Got it. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
Welcome in, first to the floor, Ben Vallis here, along with Wayne Spooney. And Spooney, the Celtics have been sold. Imagine not wanting to own the Celtics, but we knew this was coming. We're going to get into all the details. Spooney, good to see you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Ben. I'm doing really good. How about yourself, man?
Can't complain. I'm in the middle of a house move, so very soon YouTube viewers will see a new actual studio behind me rather than a disheveled bedroom and boxes and shit everywhere. So life's good, but busy. Yeah, can't complain.
Is this gonna come with the complimentary plane flying over your head every 20 minutes, or?
Well, I believe I'll be in somewhat of a. Actually, I think I'll be even further under the flight path than I am currently. But that will be neutralized, hopefully, by some soundproofing. And living in not a tiny little house that was built 100 years ago. So I'm looking forward to that upgrade.
That's awesome, man. Congrats on that. That's a huge move to upgrade the house. But moving is probably my least favorite thing on planet Earth. It's hell. It is hell.
You try and save money by no, I won't book removalist. I'll just do it myself. And then it comes to the day and you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
That would have been the best $500 I could have ever spent. What was I thinking?
Absolutely. Yeah, well, look, speaking of spending money, whoa, what a segue. Wick and the ownership group, Boston Basketball Partners, have sold the Boston Celtics to William Chism, I believe I'm saying that correctly, Chisholm, Bill Chism, as I think he's known, and his... Billy C, that's right. Good old friend Billy C. Please come on the pod, talk about the sale with us. And his ownership group, for a record, $6.1 billion. And Bill Chism is the managing director of Symphony Technology Group, which is a private equity group, which will come up again a little bit later. There are other parties within this new ownership group, including Rob Hale, who was apparently part of Wick's ownership group as well. So there's some ongoing incumbent members as well, which is exciting. Maybe, Spooney, we can talk about the good side of this first, or at least we can speculate what the good might be, or otherwise a good vibe coming from this sale. Clearly, the leading tidbit here, if you will, the dude is a massive Celtics fan and a Massachusetts native. He apparently met with Brad Stevens before the sale as well, so Brad's vetted him, and Brad apparently met with the top 4 potential buyers or finalists, whatever you want to call them, prior to the sale of the team as well. And Wick is staying on as CEO and partner until 2028 as well. So it sounds like to some degree they had their choice. I'm speculating here. They had their choice of who to sell to, and we'll get to the PAG stuff in a second. They met with 4 potential buyers, vetted them all, including PAGs, and then chose to sell to this guy, Spooney. So I'm choosing to take good vibes and good takeaways from this one, given that he was the selection. But what are your thoughts on this one?
I actually think, from everything I've heard, this seems like the best we could have possibly hoped for. He's not rushing to get Wick out the door. And the fact that Stevens was so involved, and seems like, from what I've heard, Bill seems to really respect Brad, as he should, as everyone in the world should. Brad for president, 2028.
Indeed.
Yeah. It sounds like Chisholm really understands Wick's vision and how Wick sort of ingratiated himself within the city and in the culture of the Celtics by being worried about winning first and money second. And it seems like getting a diehard Celtics fan and it doesn't seem like that's just lip service. Multiple people have quotes being like, this dude knows absolutely fucking everything about the Celtics. It seems like it's real. It seems like maybe if one of us were an investment firm CEO and managed to get enough money where we could buy the Celtics, what I'll be really interested in, because Wick's messaging was pretty consistent this entire time. We aren't just going to sell it to nobody. We're going to sell it to the right group of people. I wonder if this was the highest bid or not. I suspect that it probably was, or everybody was at the same number. But it would be interesting if this was not the highest bid, because then you really know, like, Wick chose this dude because he's going to treat the Celtics the right way. Either way, $6.1 billion, you're being made whole like several times over. So Wick did fine for himself and his fellow investors. But I really think this seems like the best case scenario.
Yeah, or at least like the comms are being managed very well and very delicately, because there's no alarm bells being raised. And I've sort of squeezed in all the pods and TV segments I could, in the space of waking up this morning and seeing the news and this moment right now. And it seems there's nothing to really get the hairs standing up on the back of your neck as far as like, oh, fuck, like, is this guy going to steer us into the ground, or is this guy going to like sell off half the players, trade away half the players to get under the tax? Seems like there's no indication of that, and it seems like he has a vested interest now literally in the Celtics' success. So hopefully that spells keeping the band together, perhaps even like Drew Holiday and names that we sort of assumed would be jettisoned during the offseason, pay the $500 million salary bill or tax bill or whatever it is, and run it back one more time. But we really don't know, and that's probably to segue into like the bad of this is just the unknown. Like we really have no idea, and I'm sure that many team acquisitions in the past have probably been managed this exact way, where it's all sunshine and rainbows at the moment of purchase, or at least the announcement of the purchase, and then you just don't know what's going to happen a year from now. And if the team is underperforming, what am I paying all this money for is essentially the question that would come to mind from ownership, and then things could go in a completely different direction. Whereas it kind of felt like, even though we didn't know this as well, that with Wick, they were pretty keen to stay the course and have done throughout the majority of their ownership there. And even the small glimpses of rebuilding have been very short and brief, although credit Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge to some degree in those instances. But the other bad aspect of this, beyond just not knowing what the fuck might happen, is the Pags situation. Spooney is odd. Are you across this? What's your take on what happened with Pags here? Well,
what happened with Pags?
Well, he released a full-page statement. I'll throw the link in the description here, but it's pretty scathing. And like clearly he just seems like pissed off and he didn't get his way in this instance. So the statement says, among many things, that his group made a fully guaranteed and financed offer at a, quote, record price, and that no debt or private equity money that would potentially hamstring our ability to compete in the future would have been involved in the money they got together to make that bid or that purchase. So kind of a dig at the actual at Billy C here, in that obviously a lot of private equity money is incoming with that purchase. So Pags, clearly one of the final four, made, like he said, a record bid at a record price, was not successful. So you would think, from like Wick's perspective, as Spooney's cat makes an appearance in the background, as Wick is like choosing the best long-term, transfer of ownership, you would think Pags would be the obvious choice. So that's why it kind of stands out here a little bit. And the fact that he's pissed off, understandably, there's a stink to that.
Yeah, I wonder if Pags expected Wick to basically just be like, oh, you want to buy it? Perfect. We'll just sell it to you. And that when that didn't happen, obviously that's going to create some bad blood, reasonable or not. I'm learning very quickly, given who is running my country right now, that billionaires have the softest skin in the entire world. So I'm not surprised. They're used to getting their way. So when they don't, they have pretty serious reactions to it. So I was not aware of that. I'm going to go check out that letter, see if I can. Is the whole thing out there? All right. Mike says it is.
Yeah, the whole thing's out there on Twitter. I will find it and throw it in the comment. I don't have it in front of me now, Mike. I'm also quite hungover. I'm not going to read a full page live on the internet, but it's out there to be read. And I believe I highlight some of the takeaway comments, and just, the fact that it's quite scathing and there's a lot of anger behind that. So very interesting to understand more about why, like, the obvious new owner, didn't pick up the team in this instance.
Yeah, no, that's really fascinating. It's quite the wrinkle I really didn't expect, to be honest with you. On the unknown issue, there's two things that I think we need to be wary about. One, Cuban said all the same stuff about the new owners that he was selling to. Like, they really care about the team. I'm not going to sell to the wrong people. Like, I'm going to make sure it's someone who cares about the Mavs. And then they traded Luka Doncic like a year later. that, could happen. Like you don't know.
I know.
Like what he's saying right now is true or not. So that's kind of terrifying. And two, private equity guys, they're all about the bottom line. They're all about putting together profitable businesses or finding ways to at least make the businesses break even. The Celtics are not a business. They are an art piece. They are something you own because you are so rich you can say, fuck it, I want to have some fun. Do not run them like a business.
Yes.
Because if you do, we're going to have like no Drew Holiday and no KP in a very short amount of time. And like, I don't know if private equity guys can like reject that part of their brain and run a sports team like a sports team. So that worries me as well. Whereas like Pags, I guarantee he was fully on board with like, let's pay the money. Who gives a shit? It's interesting. Like I'm kind of hip to like all the finance debt and all this stuff recently because Everton just went through a sale, and like the original people who were gonna buy it had like all this shitty like money backing them. And of course, Everton's shitty owner decided to sell it to them. They didn't pass like the financial review from the Premier League. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Yeah, it was a complete disaster. It's the most Everton thing ever. So like there is something to Pags if he's telling the truth that like we had like legitimate backed money that like we can actually access right now, where it sounds like this other dude might be financing it, which like means they can foreclose on the Boston Celtics if he can't make his payments, which puts pressure on him to run it near profit.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's not ideal.
Yeah, you hope that the whole fandom backstory offsets a lot of those concerns, and like the return on investment should be like walking around Boston like the big dick in the room energy, and just like you own the place, because you certainly do own a huge chunk of at least the cultural aspects of the city of Boston and the state region of New England and Massachusetts now. So hopefully that's the motivation behind it. Hopefully that's why he's happy to essentially be in the red with this investment forever. But we'll wait and see. But for now, the focus remains repeating, and you've got to assume that the players on the court at the practice facility aren't thinking like, oh shit, like did you like is this gonna fuck up our 3-point corner shooting percentage? Like hopefully not, probably not. But
did you see how he's financing this thing?
Yeah, private equity. Yeah. Remains to be seen. In the next game, certainly a measuring stick, mid-March game during March Madness. We'll be watching that performance closely. But speaking of watching performances closely, the Segway game is on point. Spooney, you did your annual I'm going to attend a Boston Celtics game trip out of West Virginia. I assume at some point between leaving and arriving at TD Garden, you heard the news that not only would Jaylen Brown not be playing in the game, but also Jason Tatum would not be playing in the game. Welcome to Boston, Wayne Spooney. But it doesn't matter, because famously you are a huge Baylor Sheierman guy, and you got to see the Baylor Sheierman game against the Nets there. Can you talk us through the day?
Yeah, so I landed Boston. I just prowl around the North End, meet up with some of my buddies, have a few beers, go to the game. And the entire time I'm thinking, like, I'm so glad Jason Tatum's not playing, because that means Baylor Sheierman's going to get minutes. And boy, did he get minutes. I don't know what I love more, the horrible tattoos or the fact that he shoots his jump shot from his tits. But either way, I just need more Baylor Sheierman in my life, and I've been a longtime fan. All I do is talk about how good his game is, every aspect, elite athlete. No, it was fucking electric when he was going off. Like that crowd. Look, I'm going to be honest. I spent a lot of money to go to this game. I had to get a flight. I had to get a hotel room. I had to buy the tickets. I drank and ate my way through the North End of Boston. This was not a very good game of basketball, to be honest with you. It was fucking ugly. Nobody could hit a shot. The Nets shot under 30% from three. And outside of the Sheierman, I'm pretty sure the Celtics shot like 25% from three. But when he had that run and he would bury that last crazy one at the end of the quarter, that place fucking erupted, man. It sounded like the finals we were at. Like it was that loud in there when he was going off. So I truly thank Baylor Sheierman for what he did. It was wonderful. And he's on his way to making a fan out of me, because
here we go.
if the shot goes down, like my biggest thing was always just people being like, oh, he's just going to take Hauser's job. Like, Will, let's pump the brakes here. He is not the type of shooter that Hauser is, but if he can shoot high 30%, and the fact that his defense is pretty, like, he had several possessions in that game where he's like cutting off drivers, being strong, tried to grift his way to a charge that didn't work one time. But for the most part, I thought his defense was really good. It's the Nets, but we need guys to play minutes against the Nets. So there's something there with Baylor Sheierman. And am I kind of drunk off this most recent performance a little bit? Yeah, a little bit.
Sure.
But it was a great, like, he literally saved one of the most boring Celtics games I've ever attended. And I watched them in Washington. So if that tells you anything. So it was a really good time. Like, and what a friggin' run. He was like 4 for 5 from 3 at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know what he ended up at. 6 of 7. Yeah. That was just absolutely crazy, man. I will say I have a really tough time, like, tactically thinking the game when I'm watching in person. I'm really just like, hey, ball go in. Awesome stuff. So I don't
Same.
have like really detailed takes from being there other than like, it's just such a good time. I'm glad I got up there, even though neither Jay played, which was extraordinarily unfortunate.
When did you learn that news? Like, was it as you were entering the arena, or like had you left home yet, or how did that arrive in your feed?
I believe it was when I landed, I got a text from my buddy, Spooner, you're an idiot. Tatum's not playing. Like, great game to choose for us to go to. And I'm like, shit. But, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, if you're drunk off the Sheierman performance, I'm absolutely fucking hammered off the Sheierman performance. It was incredible, and I know it's like pretty well takes a plenty at this point based on that performance. I feel like maybe the most exciting takeaway is like he has, I think, some like first to the floor energy, which we've been begging for. Essentially, we named this podcast First to the Floor a few years ago. Shortly after that, Marcus Smart gets traded, and it's a branding nightmare for us. And I feel like with Baylor Sheierman in the fold here, he's starting to bring back some of that first to the floor energy. So if nothing else, I think that's a positive takeaway. You also got to see a pretty solid performance from Kristaps Porzingis, maybe inefficient shooting aside. He does not look like he's really lost a step at all. I know that you were concerned about the low rebounding numbers in his initial comeback. What did you, obviously you just prefaced all of this with like, it's hard to watch the game in person analytically, which I totally get. I struggle even on TV watching it analytically. But what were your thoughts on seeing KP live?
He looked awesome, man. Like, honestly, I wish we went to him more often, like in the pick and roll. It just seemed like every time he was rolling to the rim, we just found him and he scored, which is pretty effective. He missed 1-2. Like, that's great. Like, this is like the second or third game in like 2 weeks where he's missed 1 2-point shot.
Yeah.
Like, his efficiency from 2 is just absolutely nuts right now, which is great because I feel like when he first came back, he was making his threes, but he couldn't really get any of his sort of janky, like, weird finishes to go. And they just had no answer for him. I like Day'Ron Sharp, but he's just not a positive defensive player. And Nick Claxton's just like, Claxton's ideal is that he's switchable and can get out on guards a little bit, and he's a rim protector. He is thinner than Kristaps Porzingis, so like if you try to put him on KP, it's like there's just no shot for Claxton. And I thought this may be his best rebounding performance, KP, that is, like, since he's come back from the injury. So, and his rim protection was crazy. He was swatting the shit out of everybody. That was a lot of fun to see. So we needed him. We needed him to be the offensive fulcrum really badly in this game. And it's just nice he can be a good, like, second option to Baylor Sheierman.
Yeah, he's putting up a lot of minutes for someone who's come back from a respiratory illness. But like, is the take like the illness was low-key kind of good at this juncture in the season? Like, you can't get injured if you're laying in bed sick. If anyone probably could, it would be Kristaps Porzingis. But for the most part, you cannot get injured lying in bed, resting and recovering. At a point in the season where, it's definitely the doldrums of the season, and getting so late in the day where if he did sustain an injury, the ability to recover prior to the playoffs would be hindered. So I don't know, maybe it's a good thing. Obviously, we want the best of health for all of our players at all times, but like, he also kind of got to rest the body in the process of recovering from the illness as well, and certainly hasn't lost a step in his return. I think we're going to come back in a moment and do a Jakeless edition of the Schadenfreude report. Normally that's spearheaded by Jake. Jake's in Japan at the moment. Shout out to our guy, Jake Eisenberg. But before we get to the Schadenfreude report, Spooney's going to hit us with the PrizePicks ad read.
PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. The second half of the basketball season is here, and the race to the playoffs is heating up on PrizePicks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. Don't miss your chance to cash in as the league's best fight for this playoff positioning. The Celtics have been playing shorthanded. That means some of the bench guys are getting serious run. One of those is my guy, Luke Cornett, who let me down when I was in the building, but he's been a rebounding monster. Give me, Luke, more rebounds all day. Jason Tatum might be our best player, but Jaylen Brown has been a consistent menace, getting buckets, diming people up. Give me more points and assists for Jaylen. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game.
Shout out PrizePicks. Shout out Spooney. Clutch ad read. I can see like the light of your monitor reflecting as you like tried to find the tab as I called it out. So well done. Always clutch with the ad reads. All right, it's time.
I cannot believe.
All right, Spooney. I believe you've prepped us for this one. All I know is teams be losing. Teams other than the Celtics be losing, and we're very happy about it. Hence, Schadenfreude.
Teams definitely be losing. The Celtics are not one of those teams that be losing. I'm going to go in order of how disastrous this recent stretch has been for this team. So first up on the Schadenfreude report, the least disastrous is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Look, they had a 16-game win streak. That is not exactly Schadenfreude, but they have lost 3 in a row since then. Celtics haven't done that in 2 regular seasons. And they've lost. It's not like they were losing to Oklahoma City or the Nuggets or us. Kings, Clippers, Magic. 3 straight losses. Their 3-point shooting is starting to cool off. God, I hope that is like an actual thing that's real, because the way they've been shooting the ball is nonsense. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. So it's just nice to see the Cavs, after that crazy win streak, get brought down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, a little panic in the Cavs subreddit as well, which you hate to see it. Yeah, a little, have we been frauds all along? Is not verbatim what they're saying, but that's the vibe. Like, obviously, this record shooting season is a huge catalyst for how good they've been. If you put the ball through the hole at a high clip, you're going to score a lot of points and win a lot of basketball games. And for that to be dropping off as the playoffs crest over the horizon there in the near future, you'll love to see it as well. Obviously, we would benefit greatly from a poor Cavs shooting series, but ultimately, I think it was Jackie McMullen who said this in the post-game interview the other day with regards to facing the Cavs in the playoffs. That the playoffs, the game slows down. You got a lot more half-court offense, and then what that spells in a Cavs-Celtics series is just the Celtics rather, just picking on the little guards there with the Cavs and just backing them down, targeting them on every possession slowly and purposefully in half-court playoff offense, and just like dominating them over the course of what is hopefully a short series. But Cavs can't shoot anymore. Hate to see it. What else you got for us, Spooney?
Yeah, it's terrible. It's really, really sad. Okay, we don't celebrate injuries on the Schadenfreude report.
Of course.
But we do celebrate what is currently happening with teams. And the New York Knicks are 5-5 in their last 10. They do not look great. They've had multiple games under 100 points. And for like the second best offense in the NBA, that is, to use a phrase, not good. They look completely lost at times without Jalen Brunson out there. And they don't know when he's going to come back. Tibbs just came out and said, I hope he can make it back for the regular season.
Ooh.
That to me means he's probably not going to be back for the regular season. So I don't want Jalen Brunson to be hurt. I want him to be healthy. So when we sweep their asses and he's healthy, Knicks fans have no excuse. The Schadenfreude is the Knicks might lose in the first round, even if he is healthy. And if he's not healthy, they're almost definitely going to lose in the first round. And I would just hate to see the Knicks, after this incredible season that they haven't stopped talking about, lose to the Detroit Pistons. It would break my heart, Ben.
Bing bong. I would be personally truly devastated if that were to be the case. But yeah, that's a tough one. We have to walk the line here of not, celebrating the injury aspect of that, because of course that's not the intent in any way. But like from the Knicks perspective and what you gave up for Bridges, like you would hope and expect that you have the tools and pieces necessary to sustain a Brunson-less stretch, and like that's clearly not the case here. So hate to see it with the Knicks. Can't wait to troll their subreddit when they do potentially inevitably lose in the first round. But I would be extremely disappointed if I was a Knicks fan at this point, just the inability to continue to win games without Jalen Brunson there. But that apparently appears to be the case.
That is definitely the case. And I feel like the concept of the Knicks is like, oh, well, they're pretty young, but they're really not. Cat's 29, Brunson's 28, Bridges is 28. I think OG's around 28. Like, the time is now.
It's the window.
This is the window, like these next couple of years. To lose a year, because even if Brunson comes back, I think Detroit could beat them. And it's like, that's what you've completely parlayed your entire feature is like, maybe you're slightly favored against the Detroit Pistons. Not ideal. Not a great place to be in if you're the New York Knicks. And again, I just absolutely hate to see it. So Philly's off the list now. We can't talk about Philly anymore. They're dead. They're just a dead body. We don't speak ill of the dead here. They're doing the right thing by losing every game. Essentially, they're 2-8 in their last 10 because they need to keep their pick, and I want them to keep their pick so they completely blow it, and OKC doesn't get a top, a lottery pick. So the last spot, Ben. We're closing in. We're on life support here. They're circling the drain. The doctor's coming in with the piece of paper and basically saying, like, do you want to pull the plug?
The priest has arrived.
Yeah, the priest is here. He's got his Bible and his nice robe. The Miami Heat have lost 9 games in a row.
That's tough.
And Tyler Hero and Bam are healthy. Cade beat them with a crazy-ass buzzer beater last night. Like, insane. I was watching that game. I was like, Cade! I was so excited. It was amazing. I have seen Reddit comments in the Heat subreddit saying they miss Jimmy Butler, the man who quit on their team and destroyed a team that had made the finals. They are missing him. And the best part is, Ben, after this complete, utter fucking disaster of losing 9 straight, they are still 5 games up on the Toronto Raptors and in the play-in. So they're not even going to get a good draft pick. Does it get better than that?
They can't even lose right. 9 straight losses and they're still not as bad as they need to be. Heat culture. I think well and truly dead at this point. I think the nail in the coffin of Heat culture carried out of the hospital, buried. The final nail in the coffin is I saw they released a piece of merch that it contained like green clovers among the Heat logo. And this was posted rather to the Heat Reddit. And obviously they were completely devastated by the Celtics-ness of that particular graphic. So they're really like burying themselves at this point and just making matters much worse for themselves. But, Heat culture is good for a couple of failed runs to the final, Spooney, but nothing more. And I think we've well and truly heard the last whisper of Heat culture. And it's taken Terry Rozier down with it, unfortunately, whose career has died in a fire. And get well soon, Terry Rozier's brain, because he has forgotten how to play basketball at a high level.
Yeah, it's really like he looks unrecognizable. He was good last year for them. Like, I truly don't know what happened. But like, big picture, what do they do? Like, they're not going to get a top pick. Like, do they trade Bam? Do they trade Hero? Like, they might be looking at like a long-term rebuild here. But the annoying thing is their fans are still like, well, we'll just go get Cade when he's a free. You know what I mean? And they fucking might. That's what sucks about it.
Yeah, they have some salary pieces they can move around. So they've kind of got that. I think to get them out of trouble, the CBA and the constraints that come with this relatively newly implemented CBA make life slightly more difficult for them, but everyone's playing under that same rule book. But, the Heat have gotten themselves out of some shit before, unfortunately. So you kind of expect to see them do it again. But, I mean, they have failed on multiple fronts. Like whenever, Dame Lillard is the obvious recent example. Wherever any big names have come up recently, the Heat have always been in the bidding and failed at every turn, which again, devastated to see. But if nothing else, Heat culture is completely dead. I hope that they throw all of those Heat culture jerseys into like a pit somewhere and cover it in tar, because they should never see the light of day again. Heat culture is officially declared on this podcast right now, Spooney, through the Schadenfreude report, dead. Any other Schadenfreude for us? This is maybe one of the spicier Schadenfreude segments we've had. Sorry,
there's
Jay.
There's a lot of bad stuff happening to the teams we don't like. So it was ripe for it. I mean, the Bucks 5-5 in their last 10, like they just look completely limp. They're a wet noodle. Like, I don't know where that team is going either. I was listening to the Duncan and Hollinger show for some reason while I was traveling, and they think Giannis might get traded. Maybe not this offseason, but in the next 2 years, because like Dame is not going to be good for. Do you think Dame's good in 2 years, Ben?
I don't think he's good in 1 year.
Yeah, now he's been good this year.
Yeah, he's been all right.
Yeah, it's fair. So like they're on their way out. And the Knicks we just covered, and then it's like basically the Pistons and the Pacers are like the next up and coming teams in the East. So like the old guard of like the young Jays adversaries they've been defeated. They've defeated them all. They're standing over their dead bodies and just moving on to the next challengers.
It's a great image. Meanwhile, over in Celtics land, as we start to wrap up here, a bit of a shorter pod today. Got some stuff going on today. But meanwhile, over in Celtics land, upcoming schedule. First of all, just being acquired by a very rich, apparent Celtics fan who hopefully has the best intentions going forward for the Celtics. If you're joining us later, we covered that at the start of the pod, so feel free to rewind. But upcoming schedule, Jazz, Trailblazers. This is a road trip, so I'll be out west for a little bit here. But and shout out Time Lord as well. Unfortunately, out for the rest of the season. Had an arthroscopic procedure on his knee, and out for the rest of the season. But Jazz, Trailblazers, Kings. Apparently, Sabonis is going to be out for that game. Suns. We know what's going on in Phoenix. There, the sun not shining as brightly as it used to. Spurs with no Wemby. Grizzlies, Heat, Suns again, Wizards, Knicks. Like the rest of the schedule is happy days, Spooney. So the antithesis of the Schadenfreude report, the Celtics just have a nice cruisy run to the end of the regular season.
How many of these games do you want like Jason Tatum to play, Ben?
A lot less than what he will actually play. Like I'm so surprised that he rested that Nets game. He may never rest again.
Yeah, which is the perfect game for me to go fly and go see. Like, what are the
So
fucking
funny.
odds? He'll probably miss like one more game this season. Yeah, that Knicks game is not going to matter. We're 6.5 up, and that's the fourth to last game. So like that Knicks game, nobody's going to play. It's really just Memphis, and then like. Does that game even really like it's Memphis? They're in the West. Like we're 6, probably 7 up by then. Like we're hit the part of the season where like it's Peyton Pritchard time, it's Jordan Walsh time, it's Baylor Sheierman time. Like I want to see Joe give these guys some like legitimate run. Like, hey, if you screw up, you're not coming out. You're getting 20 minutes tonight. Show me what you got for these last like 12 games.
Yeah, I'm saying to Sheierman, like, that was good. Like, run it back. Let's see it again. Prove that it wasn't just an anomalous performance. But we, with these Cavs losses, Spooney, we are now half a game closer to the first seed than we are to the third seed, which is, so this is real cruise control at this point, I think, especially with no Brunson and how you mentioned the Knicks are going. Like, we can just really cruise here, experiment. Jordan Walsh, like, show us what you've got. Like Baylor Sheierman maybe vying for your position in the hierarchy, Walshy. So like it's now your time to shine. A nice little minutes bidding war between like players 10 through 15 in the rotation there. So exciting to see what comes of it. I personally find this juncture of the season like really exciting because we know what to expect from the Jays. We know what to expect from our top 7, 8, 9 guys. Like what like glimmers of hope can we see from the guys down the other end of the bench? So I'll be watching closely.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. This time of year is really fun. It's when we get Pritchard 30-point triple doubles and all that goofy stuff.
Hell yes.
Ooh, Muzz has a good point. Tillman time. That like.
Can he
still
walk
on the team? Yeah, right. Like, what is going on? Like, that's really kind of we've been so good that we haven't really talked about it. But like at the beginning of the year, we were talking about like maybe Tillman instead of Luke is the, third center spot. And like, that's not even close.
Yeah, we'll do our end of regular season awards at some point. Tillman's going to be getting an award. It's not a positively framed award, but there will be. I think clearly he's the front runner for that award. I think you can guess what it is. But if I'm Bill Chism, maybe the first investment I'm making now that I've bought the team is some sort of procedure on X's knees. Like, what's going on here? Can we do an exploratory? Maybe fly him over to Germany, get some of the plasma going on, like do some Kobe work on his knees because I believe it's at least partially injury related or like an ongoing lingering injury or pain aspect that's keeping him off the court because like when he was at his best last year, he was like clear sort of top 9, somehow always present in the rotation kind of guy just with his defensive versatility. He offered Al Horford like defense, which is a playoff attribute. And this year we've just not seen him at all. And when we have, like it's been, I'm sorry to say, dog shit. So yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it's like when like a small movie will get like a big name actor to be in one scene and they'll like put him in the trailer and on the movie poster. And it's like, wait a second, David Duchovny was barely in this thing. So, okay, on the 1 seed, we're not going to get the 1 seed, but you just read that ridiculous poo-poo platter of a schedule we have left. The Cavs play the Pistons, the Clippers, the Knicks, the Kings, the Pacers twice, and the Knicks again. So, like, they have 6 very losable games coming up. Then they'll probably win them all. But it's not completely out of the question that we at least make it close by the end of the season, which I would like to see because I want us to be the team last year who we won the conference by like 14 games. At least we're not going to have that type of situation, but it'd be nice to put a little heat on them, right?
So if we get to like within 2.5 games, and we'll end on this with like, I don't know, 8 games to go, 9 games to go. Are you like, go for it? Like Jays are playing like 43 minutes a game. Like KP's out there for like playing the full 4th quarter, which he's been doing recently actually. But are you going for it? Or are you just sort of foot off the gas a little bit? Like this is fine. We don't need that 1 seed. Let's just make him sweat a little bit and move on.
I think I'd rather play the Knicks in the second round than the Bucks. Yeah. Or definitely more than the Pacers. I do not want to see the Pacers in the playoffs this year. So I think 2nd seed feeling pretty cozy right now, I think. So I don't know if I'd go for it really, but a little heat, a little pressure.
Yeah, make them sweat. Yeah, we do fear the Pacers though. So anyway, look, let's leave it there. Interesting stuff going on with this new ownership, and we'll be tracking that as it evolves. Hopefully, like we don't really hear that much more of it. Obviously, the focus needs to be on the fact that we're trying to repeat and win a second championship for the 2nd year in a row, which is what repeating is. I'm filibustering because I'm looking for the right button to end this thing, Spooney. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, Bill Chism, just be a good dude. We'll be back early next week. Spooney, love your work, man. Until next time, go Celts.